Welcome to these Travel Times talks here at the Adventure Overland Show 2017. These are brought to you in partnership with Rimmer Brothers, who have a vast array of aftermarket OEM and genuine parts for all Land Rover vehicles at competitive prices. More importantly to you guys, they will deliver them all around the world fast. So if you've any problems, these are the places to come to. There's now a brand new accessories catalogue out with a comprehensive range of Land Rover vehicles, from Range Rover Classics up to, well, vehicles of today. There's also the popular parts catalogue, and this is a great accessory to put in your glove box. For more details, do visit the website at rimmerbrothers.co.uk. Enjoy the talk.
The talk I'm giving today, which is somewhat different from the last one, in that the last one was useful and this one's just my holiday snaps of Europe in 2009, is of a trip that my wife and I and a teddy bear, that'll be his wife, made through Europe on 2 motorbikes in 2009. And I'm going to give some of the lessons we learned, some of the things we did wrong. We did a lot of things wrong. However, I'd like to say that everybody does touring differently. That's the one thing we found out. If you find anything useful out of what we found out, that's great. If not, just go out there and do it. Right, who are we? We are Fat Man Overland, and I'm guessing you can see why we're called Fat Man. And my wife, who's at the back looking after the 2 dogs. The most important member of the team, Mr. Teddy, who has an alcohol and addiction problem. And now we have been joined by 2 dogs, which is why we don't actually do motorbike touring anymore. We've now moved over to the world's most unreliable Toyota ever. You know, in the last talk they said that even Toyotas can blow up. Yeah, I know that one from personal experience. We also had another member of the team. This was our guard dog for security. Unfortunately, he died somewhere between the Democratic Republic of Congo and South Africa. I think they thought he was full of drugs and ripped him to pieces. My wife will be giving a talk about our Africa trip tomorrow. The bikes are, the red one is a Honda Transalp 650. Mine is BMW F800GS, but basically they're standard touring bikes, off-road style bikes. They're not proper off-road bikes. Some of the modifications we made on them, they have SW Motec panniers. We didn't use top boxes. We used Oakley bags because they sit. First of all, they allow you to take more than a top box, and they sit across and rest on the panniers, so they're perfectly safe. And these are the ones we actually took through Africa and through Europe, and they're still going strong. The thing you see in the top left-hand corner is a tool tube. It's actually a John Deere manual, tractor manual thing that we've modified, mounted on the bikes, and things like toolkits and things are in there, nice and low down, because we were putting toolkits at the top and that became very unstable. Other things, just for that little bit of fun, we used a petrol stove, a Primus Omnifuel. And the reason we did that, and it wasn't so much of a problem in Europe, but in Africa, as what we'll tell you tomorrow, you can run out of fuel very quickly. And that gives you an extra litre of fuel, which doesn't sound much, but will get you to a petrol station, which we needed once or twice in Africa. The other is a 2-litre container of petrol that we used for spare. Now, for safety reasons, they were mounted on the back of the panniers, so that if something crashed into you, suddenly had this, you burst into flames basically. I wouldn't put them there again. That was one of the things we did wrong. We modified the panniers by putting a sort of a webbing thing across so we could stuff things in to allow you to carry extra stuff, very lightweight stuff. We also, for water, we took a 10-litre roll-up bag, again because it just rolls up nice and small. You can fill it anywhere, you can hang it anywhere, you can get a shower attachment for them if you feel like cold showers through Europe. Never a good idea, wakes you up. And for navigation, we just used a simple Garmin, one of the more expensive Garmin GPSs with Europe maps on. If I was doing the same trip today, I'd use a Nuvi or something like that with the Europe maps. Again, through Europe, that wasn't a problem. In Africa, we had problems with that specific unit, with the heat, and that's now lying at home broken. So, where did we go? Why did we go? Why did we choose the route that we went? Basically, started off in Reading, because that's where we live. Went through France, Belgium, Germany, Poland, Czech Republic, Germany, France. Just because we wanted to have a long holiday, we had some goals in mind. We had some things we wanted to do, some places we wanted to do. Again, these are personal. We wanted to visit Ypres. We wanted to visit Verdun. We wanted to visit Auschwitz. We wanted to visit, that was basically all we wanted to visit actually. We wanted to go to Poland and we wanted to go to Czech Republic. So we had some goals in mind, but the rest of the time we just basically winged it. We didn't book a lot. We booked the first night, because we always book first nights, because the first day, we always find the first day of touring stressful, because you've got to get up, you've got to get on your road, you've got to make sure everything's packed, you've got to make sure you haven't forgotten anything, you've got to, just get into the routine of it. So we book somewhere to stay so that we know where we're going to stay. After that, most of the time, we just turned up. And for that, we used and still use. Does anybody know about Axie? They've now got, you join Axie and you get a card and you get this vast book full of campsites, which are really great and really rubbish at the same time. Because you've got to look on the map where you are, then you find the number, then you've got to go find the number in the book, which is a pain. The app they do now basically says, oh, you're here, these are the campsites surrounding you. So if you haven't booked anywhere, and they're not all the campsites in Europe, but if you haven't booked anywhere, this is a very useful thing to have if you just want to find a campsite at 5 o'clock and you don't know where the nearest campsite is. This will tell you. Yeah, it comes in 2 books. That's the thinnest one. The other ones, right? Get the app. Very useful. Again, you can see campsites on the road, but if you're not sure where you are, what you're doing, this is a good one to have. So, setting off. This is outside our house. We're getting ready to go. We get on the bikes. First thing I did wrong because I was planning it. Forgot to put petrol in the bikes. So we had to stop to put petrol in the bikes. Now, I am not a small person. The bike is fully loaded. Hopping off a fully loaded bike in all your kit, when you're my size, ain't easy. It looks like a whale beaching itself most of the time. So, off to the local petrol station, I basically fall off the bike. The bike's okay. I'm on the ground going, oh, great. Petrol in, take a running dive back onto the bike, and we're on the road again. So Lesson number 1, fill up before you set off. Lesson number 2, learn how to get on and off your bike when it's fully loaded. It's never going to be elegant, but learn how to do it. We basically headed down the M25, which sucks. I think anybody who knows the M25 knows it sucks, even on a motorbike. Down the M20, down to Eurotunnel. We didn't take the ferry for 2 reasons. One, we'd never done this before. This is completely new to us. And with a ferry, you have to be away from your bike, and we felt a bit about that. That was just us, so we wanted to stay with the bike. And the second and most important thing is I get seasick. And I didn't want to climb off and have to work out how to drive on the wrong side of the road while still feeling nauseous. So we just thought we'd take Eurotunnel. And actually, because we booked in advance, Eurotunnel wasn't too bad. Coming back, we just turned up. That is a wrong decision to make with Eurotunnel, because it's about 3-4 times as expensive. So, we've booked a campsite, we turn up, we put up our nice 2-man Coleman tent, hit problem number 3. We are 2 people, one of whom is slightly larger than the other. Plus all your bike kit in a 2-man tent doesn't work. Because 2-man tent are for backpackers, not people wearing kit and helmets and all this sort of stuff. So we realized very quickly that most of our kit would have to be outside in the rain. We now have a 4-man tent, 4-man tunnel tent, that we can put panniers and so on inside, out of view, out of the rain, and all our kit can be inside. Again, that's just us. We don't like getting up and having to put wet motorbike kit on. Call me old-fashioned. Right. What follows is basically my holiday pictures with explanations along the way, hopefully. So after the first night, we head off towards Ypres, and we obviously pass, you start seeing windmills and so on, and we decide to have a bite to eat. We stop, we see a roadside place, we stop, we get in, and it has this in it. And we still, to this day, we don't know why it has that in it. But you see some interesting things on the road. So we didn't camp that night. We stayed in a guest house called Varley Farm at Port Capel, because somebody had recommended it, if I remember rightly. Took all our stuff off, got on the bikes, went to Ypres for the 8 o'clock last post ceremony. I don't know if anybody knows about that. At the Menin Gate every night at 8 o'clock, some Belgian firemen come out and play the last post. Now my father was quite an old father, and I knew a lot about the First World War, and I just wanted to go and see this. And that was part of the reason for going on this part of the tour. And it's a very moving ceremony. And the Menin Gate itself, with all the names on it, is A, stunning, and B, sad. Personally. So, here, that's some of the... I told you it's my holiday snaps. I apologise. And then when you actually see the numbers of people killed, it's numbers, they're just unbelievable. So, another thing you don't do, or when you go on a tour, is you don't put equipment on your bike, get on the bike and go to Europe. That is a bad idea. So we're at Ypres. The ceremony is at 8 o'clock. We have something to eat. It's dark when you get back. I had put a light guard on the front of on my headlight, which when I turned it on, did a really good job of reflecting the headlight straight on my tyre. So I couldn't see anything in front of me. So I thought, bummer, I don't have any tools with me. That's okay. If Isabel leads on a Transalp, we'll get home. Only Isabel couldn't remember where the high beam light was. So basically, and the Transalp's light isn't that great. So we crept home, back to the hotel, basically having white sticks in the road because we couldn't see anything. So the two lessons here are, put equipment on your bike by all means, but test it before you go anywhere, just to make sure it works. And B, know where all the knobs are on your bike to switch things on. From Ypres, we went to Chimay. Why did we go to Chimay? Because, yeah, there's a man who knows. Because I like food, doesn't show I know, I wear it well. I do strange things, like I go to Hamburg specifically to have a hamburger. So I went to Chimay specifically to have a Chimay. Next en route is to Frankfurt, it's to go to Frankfurt. But, so we turn up at this campsite in Chimay, and the owners aren't there. It's open, but the owners are in Spain. So we turn up, pitch our tent, try and find somebody to pay, and there is nobody. I mean, literally, I was wandering around with my euros going, who do I pay? Who do I pay? Nobody to pay. Fine. 9:30 at night, a guy turns up and tells me I'm on his spot. He's got a motorhome. And I went, no, I'm not. And he wanders off muttering. Next morning we head out of town, but we just didn't pay because there was nobody to pay. The campsite was open. We weren't the only people there. There were lots of bikers there. But there was just nobody to pay. So sometimes you get lucky. The other photo is Chimay has a clock tower, as do most European cities. Only that doesn't have bells. You have a guy who wanders up there and tootles on his trumpet and then wanders down and out again every hour. I have, again, no idea why. From there we went to Verdun, again because of the World War I thing. Turned up at this camping Les Brilles at Verdun, which is a great place. It's got a lake. Pitched the tent and we used our tarpaulin for the first time, and it's great. We've used that tarpaulin many times on tours. Lightweight, it's from DD Hammocks, weighs about 300 grams. The poles are from Millets. And the nice thing about that is you've got somewhere to prepare food out of the rain, but not in your tent. And you can sit under there and do all sorts of things without that much extra weight on your bike. Okay, Verdun is obviously known for the siege of Verdun and some heroic deeds and all that sort of stuff. And there's a very good museum, which if you're English, you got a little truck, and it goes through and they play all sorts of scenarios at you. But if you're English, you are probably the only English person there. You get your own truck. You don't have to crowd with anybody else. They put special English on for you. So from Verdun, we went past a lot of cemeteries. World War I cemeteries. Again, this is a personal thing. It's that sort of thing for me which visualizes how many people died and how big the event was. I can read things in books, but I need to go to a place to actually see and get a feeling for it. From there, we headed to Germany on the outbound leg. And we did a couple of, I know it's food, we did a couple of long days. Now for me, long days, 200 kilometers, 200-mile days, which if anybody's ever ridden a BMW with the lowered seat, because I'm built like a gorilla, short legs, isn't just painful. It is medieval torture. I have a sheepskin on it, which helps, and under that I have an air hawk, which is like a big rubber balloon, which is, if you're ever going to do this, get one of those, they're great. However, it is still painful. This ice cream, which the Germans do amazingly, is at an ice cafe. And the only reason it's up is we use them as stops, just to get off the bikes and get some sugar boost. It always helps. I mean, any place that does ice cream pizzas, it's fine by me. But you know, if you are going to do a long journey, find something that fits you to create breaks, just to get off the bike, get the circulation, and then get back on the bikes again. In Germany, well, this is just going to show you some. We obviously stopped in lots of places. We had the tent. For seats, we took walk stools because they fold down nice and small. However, if you're my size, they're useless. Eventually, they're okay as long as they last, but they've got plastic feet on the bottom, and the pole goes straight through them. And then you go to walk stool, can I get the foot? And they go, you know, you need the whole leg, which is more expensive than the walk stool. I now use, because I now use a Helinox chair, which much lighter than these and hold my weight. Again, the water container. For security, we chained the bikes together and had them relatively, as often as possible, relatively near the tent. The thought process behind that, which is never a good one, but was stealing one bike might be easy, but if you have to pick up two, you need more people. We've still got the bikes, so it seemed to work. Again, this is another campsite. What between the two bikes is, again, in millet you get this washing line. It's like twisted elastic with two hooks. We took that, very useful for drying things because you are going to get wet. I've had a lot of waterproof motorcycle equipment and it's never been, or clothing, it's never been waterproof. So you are going to get wet, your socks are going to get wet. As soon as you get the chance to dry stuff out, take it, and that's when your bike's coming useful. The other one shows the inside of the tent, and you can start seeing why there's a problem, because there's just one tank bag, the panniers are outside, as you can see. The other thing you can see is the table we used at the time. It's about yay big, and it's sort of an aluminium slotted, it's aluminium box section that folds up. It's got elastic through the middle of it. They are also useless because this one broke on the way. Because if you're camping every now and again, they're fine because you open it out and you fold it back in again. If you're doing that every day, that elastic wears through, especially since it's cheaply made and there's sharp edges. So there are better tables. A table is a problem because you can get a table yay big, but that takes up space on the bike. One of the other places we wanted to go, or we had planned to go, was Wittenberg, and the reason for that is very strange. My wife is South African, brought up in a Lutheran church, so she's had when she was growing up, she heard all about Luther going and nailing something to a church door somewhere. That's where he nailed stuff to the church door, and that was the church he basically created Protestantism out of. We stayed in a pension because we'd been camping for a couple of days, and it was great because it allows you somewhere to dry all your clothes. You can charge your batteries, and you got a free beer on arrival. But if you are going camping, breaking every now and again to do B&B, guest house, hotel is great. If you've got camera batteries and that sort of, you can charge them there. You can dry your clothing. We actually had to end up doing laundry in the bath, but that was where we did it because that's one of the problems we found. Other people have better solutions, but we found the problem of where do you clean your clothing? Eventually, your clothes are standing up by themselves. Yeah, the last talk well, for those people who were there during the last talk, he talked about risks and impact of them. Right, we use bike-to-bike used bike-to-bike communication. And my wife, the GPS said, turn here. I was just about to turn here, and my wife went, oh, there's a crane nest. And I went, and missed the turning. And the GPS said, no problem. Go up there, turn there, go down there. Well, went up there, turned there, went down there, sand, yay deep. And I am not a good, I'm a terrible off-road rider, right? My bike ends up in a tree. I'm lying on the ground, I'm looking behind me, Transalp on its side, bike back wheel going tick, 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 and I'm thinking, wife nowhere to be seen. And I'm sitting there going, oh God, I'm going to have to tell my mother-in-law I've just killed her daughter. What had happened is Isabel had seen me crash. There was a field that was mud rather than sand, or baked earth, but there was a bank, very big, and Isabel actually made it over the bank. Problem was, her bike didn't. She went sailing through her screen. Luckily, apart from ego a little bit dented, neither of us suffered any injuries, although Mr. Teddy did say he was never going riding with us again. So we're sitting there going, what do we do? Because that screen is now dangerous. So I had a saw on me, one of these SAS things, and I cut off the screen so that it was a little less dangerous. When we recovered, a really nice guy I can't remember what car he was driving, but he turned up, he was a German Air Force officer. He said, it's okay, I have a BMW. The nearest Honda dealer is there. Wrote us the address, we turn up. The mechanic tried every single screen they had, and we couldn't find one. We phoned people, we phoned Poland, we phoned Czech. You ever tried phoning Poland to order, what's the Polish for motorbike screen? Right? We came home with it looking like that. We tried getting one sent out from Reading, out of stock. The bottom left picture is what happens when groin meets tank bag at speed. Luckily, it was only a bit of tank bag that was torn off and not something else. So yeah, learn how to bounce. That's one of the most important lessons. Learn how to, you are going to do a lot of it. And as I said, Mr. Teddy was sulking at that particular moment in time. Poland. So we're on to Poland. We crossed the border from Germany. Driving the first bit of road is absolutely excellent. The only strange bit is as you go past there are tracks leading into the forest, road tracks. There are what I could only be described as very scantily and incredibly cold looking young ladies standing at each of them. I have no idea why they were there. Well, right? After that, the road gets absolutely awful, right? Has anybody ever been in Poland? Right. You know what happens here if the lorries go down a road regularly? You sort of get grooves in them. Think about that happening for 50 years. They're that deep. And once you're in them on a motorbike, you can't get out of them easily. You follow it. Now, Isabel chose the one on the inside. I mistakenly chose the one on the outside, forgetting that my panniers are now sticking in the path of all the lorries coming this way. So I'm getting beeps and not very good looks coming towards me. I'm thinking, this is fun. We get through I have no idea how you pronounce it. It's got the L with a dash in it. And you go over tram lines, and you get stuck in tram lines. It's all good fun. And eventually we think, well, we're knackered, basically, and we need to look for a hotel. So we stop off in a hotel. Sorry, we're full. We have a wedding. Go on, the next one is called, this is the actual name, Tutu. How can you not go and stop at a hotel called Tutu? So we stop there and go, oh no, we have a wedding on, but we have one room. We'll take it. The restaurant is full because the wedding's on, so we wander up to the petrol station, thinking like here they'll have snacks. No, this is Poland. They have a restaurant with very good food. I like good food, let's be honest. So we ate at the petrol station. The lesson here is just go and look. If you're looking for something, just go and look at it. We don't speak a word of Polish, and I'll tell you how we eat. When we go to Poland, I don't speak many other languages. Point and smile. Sometimes you may get very unusual food, but you will get food. And if you smile, people will help you. That's how we did it in Poland. We had great food in Poland just by smiling and pointing. Okay, I'll put this up, and I apologise for this. This is not me. This, you know when you sort of walk past something and you go, what the hell? Well, this is one of these. This is a pony club. I don't know why. Right, we were still on the search for this screen. We were chasing the screen through Poland. One of the main Honda dealers was in a place called Poznan. And you turn up, and so Poznan. I want to stay in Poznan. The campsite is called Malta, just to be very confusing. It is a great campsite. It's alongside a man-made lake, which I think had something to do with, it's a rowing lake, but it's a proper international course, rowing course. So we stopped there, great little campsite. My sugar rush for the day. You wander around, there's a fun fair and all this sort of stuff. And it's one of the places where another lesson is don't judge people or don't judge things. We were looking, again, we thought, we haven't got any food because it's in Poland the first day. We'll go in to the campsite restaurant. First of all, the door opened in a strange way. It's one of those ones where you're sitting there going, I can't open the door, I can't open the door. The wife goes, no, it opens this way, idiot. And we wander in there, and there are the chef and a couple of waiters and waitresses lounging against the bar, cigarette and we're going, well, we're here, we can have a snack. So we ordered something. Best food we had on that entire trip. So sometimes what it looks like, and we found this when we went through Africa, is different from what the reality is. And usually it's a better thing. Sometimes it's worse, but sometimes, most of the time, it's better. Poznan, we've been back many times. It's a great little city. It's the small, medieval, old city surrounded by communist-era industrial outside. So you sit there and go, a bit of a dump. Then you walk through an alleyway, because we like walking through alleyways, and you come on a painted medieval city. That has a clock tower with goats that box heads. From there, we went to Auschwitz, or Auschwitz as it used to be called. Again, you don't want to go to Auschwitz. I grew up knowing about it, I think as everybody does, and I thought it was, because we were going that way, we'll go and have a look. It's worthwhile, but heart-wrenching. And that, you will find people put little notes all over the place, and it just says, Gilad Shalit, human being, Jew. which sort of is the message that comes out of it. We also, I mean, again, you find we then stayed in the place which was the Catholic mission, and that was great. It was an interesting experience. It's the experience I would say I would do again. But again, this is I'm just trying to give my personal journey. From there, we went chasing the screen into the Czech Republic, where there are some awesome churches. Then the roads change almost immediately out of Poland on the border to the Czech Republic. Poland, they're not very good. Czech Republic, they're brilliant. So we trot along and we find another pension Alberta in Prostějov, owned by a completely out of his head Czech person who loves Canada, and I mean loves Canada. Everything that's in there he's got a big stuffed, and I mean big stuffed bear. He's got Indian headgear. He's got the works. Really nice guy. Really good. Clean everything. He is just. I have no. You just turn up and think I'm in the middle of Czechoslovakia. I could be in Canada. Yeah, but this is part of the richness of touring. Point and smile. This was the menu. If anybody can read anything on there, they're better than I am. It works for me. Strange enough, I said I've been back to Poznan again with my son. I point and smile, I get reasonable food. He points and smile, he gets something completely random. We were in it's called a milk bowl. Doesn't sell milk, but it's a very cheap food place, but they do pierogi. So I'm pointing and smiling, I get salad and I get savoury pierogi. He points and smiles, he gets a sweet pierogi with salad. It's an adventure. But for me, this is what touring is about. This was a campsite that it opened the day after we arrived. But they opened it specially for us. We were the only people in this campsite. It's on a lake. They allow campfires. I saw grebes dancing, which is you see on David Attenborough do. First time I seen it. That was a magical experience. You wake up and there's mist on the lake. It's just awesome. That was what made it worthwhile. There are a lot of things that made it worthwhile, but that was one of the main ones. Then on to Germany. We came into Germany, did another long day. From the Czech Republic, we ended up at Bodensee. Apple blossom time, stayed on the lake, another awesome day. Driving through, randomly, we're driving and there's this whole bunch of bikes. We thought, well, we're on bikes, we'll stop. Get off, and quite literally, as you can see in the middle of nowhere, German bikers rally. And the sidecars they had are just like, and they had them on Ducatis and things like that. It was a great experience. We went from there. I grew up, this is an apology, I'm going to say it now, I grew up in the carry-on era. Yeah? So when I see a place on the map called TTC, yeah, so we had to go there. And to say it's biker friendly is an understatement. They have a changing room for bikes. They have places where you can put your motorbike gear so you can wander around town, and it's shaped right for bikes. So you can put your helmet in there, you can put your gloves in there, everything. Special parking. Great place. It's on a lake again. The national dress is a bunch of women in black dresses with red balls on their head. And the Germans, one thing the Germans do is food. On the right-hand side is sauerbraten mit Spätzle. On the left is half a pig. You can see why I'm the shape I am, right? So we stayed at a place called Bankenhof, again, in the middle of the Black Forest. Trees are great for hanging things and drying socks off. That was an amazing Magarus that the guys live in. They got a trailer, but they've managed to hook it together so that that whole thing is a living accommodation. On the day, we took everything off the bikes and just had a ride around, because if you're staying in a place for a couple of days, you can do that. And it's worthwhile every now and again stopping in a place just to recharge, just to find your bearings. Also, if you're staying in the Black Forest, you get free transport on free train tickets. You get a pass, so you can go on the train. And this was the train, which is always on time. You have to be there exactly when it says, because otherwise you don't get it. Into Freiburg, and again, like Chimay and Chimay, Black Forest Gâteau in the Black Forest. A great little place, and I love the idea of how do you walk your dogs? You take them with you if you're riding on the bike. France. So on our way back, we end up at Reims. Again, because I want to see the cathedral. It is an awesome cathedral. My son was getting married, so it's the centre of the Champagne region, so we bought champagne. And being French, you can send champagne home because they've got special boxes just for champagne bottles. My wife had her second accident there by falling down the stairs of a toy shop. So you have to be careful. Then we came home. It was a great tour. It was 3 weeks. It was 3,000 miles. What lessons did we learn? First one, get a bigger tent. So if you're two men, or however many people you are, you need at least one extra person size tent. So if you're 3 people on tour, get a 4-man tent. Just because you've got the biking equipment. First couple of days were difficult. First couple of days hurt, but you get into a routine. You start packing things quicker. You start getting on the bike quicker. First day it took about an hour to get everything into its right place. If you like a place, stay there. It's your holiday, right? If we liked the Black Forest, so we stayed there for 3 days. If you don't speak the language, and I don't, point and smile. If you don't do that, you won't get anything. Make sure you tell your banks that you are going overseas and which countries you're going to, because they stopped a couple of our cards because they thought it was suspicious. Now I'm suspicious anyway, but it's a good thing. Carry alternative cards. So we had MasterCard from one bank, we had switch from, when in the old days, from another, because if one stops, the other one might not. Don't be afraid to explore back streets, as long as you feel safe, because the back streets in old medieval cities tend to be where the interesting things are. Most important lessons we learned is my wife and I, can undertake long tours. And this was shown when we went through Africa. We can enjoy it most of the time. Falling off is never an enjoyable experience. When we got back to Calais, there was like, shall we go back to home or should we turn left here and continue? Because we wanted to continue. And the most important thing is I am a fat lump of a person. If I can do this, every single person in this room can also go out there and do a successful tour through Europe, through Africa or whatever, and enjoy it. Just go and do it. It's worth it. Thank you.
We'll be back shortly at Adventure Overland 2017 with another Travel Times Talks. But for now, do check out any of our other videos. And of course, as always, a big thanks to Rimmer Brothers, who have partnered with us to bring you these talks. Their new popular parts catalogue is available for all Land Rover vehicles and is a great addition to your glove box. For more information, also do check out www.rimmerbrothers.co.uk.